Countdown to Green. We take a look back at all the action from Atlanta. We talk to the drivers of the Kansas City Pioneers and Williams Esports. We take a look at how you're racing at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
Hello and welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and joining me, as always, we have our analyst, Blake McCandless, and we have Alan Cavana. How are you two doing?
I'm doing great, Camille, and I'm just so excited for tonight because we finally get to arrive at a short track. It favors a different type of driver than a lot of the tracks we've seen early on, so I'm ready to see who is ready to rise to the occasion and try to get an early win tonight.
Yeah, Blake, you said it all. Short track season, different mood, different drivers, different skill set, maybe the same sort of, I don't know, angry tempers, maybe some cautions, but that's what short track racing's all about. That's why we love it so much.
We're going to have to see what's coming up for the race ahead, but for now, let's take a look back at Atlanta.
Pace car down and infield in the hands of the number 4 Chevrolet of Ryan Luza. For the first time, we say, let's go racing at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. I don't think a single group made it into pit road without something. Cars sliding into each other, tires locked up, missing pit road, off and into the grass. There's a good onboard look with Steven Wilson as he tries to get that race car around the racetrack as quick as possible and also tries to find a gap. And there it goes! Colin Bowden was sent into the outside wall. The pace car is back off and in. 15 laps left to go in Atlanta. Malik Ray says you got to take that when it's open as he's aggressively third in line up on the outside of the racetrack. Parker lost the lead just as quick as he got it, as he got loosened up off of the nose of the number 15 to Bashid behind him of Garrett Lowe. Bit of a puff of smoke. There goes the 2 car. Vincent's into the outside wall. Femi Olat goes with him. We'll see how this one shakes out. It's attempt number 1 at eNASCAR overtime with Steven Wilson in control for the inside of the front row. Green flag in the air. 2 laps to go in Atlanta. Neck and neck for the outside. It pulls the advantage low. The opportunity. He goes down and blocks though. It was Wilson to the inside. White flag in the air. This race is official. Side by side for second. Wilson still the advantage. Pushed by Colin Keister. 3 wide behind. Off at turn 4. Keister looks. He can't do it. Steven Wilson returns to eNASCAR victory lane at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
It's never too early to see how this shakes out the point standings after just 3 races. Of course, you can see Michael Conti, Tucker Minter, and Steven Wilson, your 3 winners so far this year. But I'm really impressed, Alan, with some of these drivers that are above that cut line right now. How about Michael Cozy Jr., Tyler Gary, a couple of rookies who have really shown themselves off very well here. You can see Michael Guest a part of it as well. And how about Keister, who missed pit road in that segment we just saw, ended up coming back, finishing second, and finds himself in the 12th position.
Yeah, nearly got the win. And some of those drivers like Tyler Gary, they are contributing to their team standings because look who is up there in 3rd. Kanan Esports, brand new team. Tony Kanan involved here in the Coke Series. Now he's sitting there in 3rd, 23-11, making a big jump up there. And then down in 9th, look at that. Exet took a huge hit. We're not used to seeing that. Last year's champ, Casey Kerwood, we're used to seeing Exet always up close to the top of the standings. They took a little bit of a hit there in Atlanta, so maybe they can get some of that back tonight, Camille.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I think it was the Camille Picks curse that might have hit the results in Atlanta. But let's talk about Atlanta and your thoughts. Let's start with you, Blake.
Well, the one thing I came out of Atlanta thinking is that time and time again, we have continued to see the same drivers up front. Now, Daytona, Atlanta, you would think those are tracks where maybe we could see some more surprise contenders up front, but yet time and time again, who's winning these races? Michael Conti at the Milwaukee Mile, Steven Wilson at Atlanta, some guys we're very familiar with over last year where we ran this next-gen car. So I think these teams are really starting to get a handle on it, and if they do, they're continuing to showcase that same speed that they showed last year. So for me, it's how experience in this car seems to pay off, Alan.
Absolutely, and we saw that with the winner who went to victory lane. Steven Wilson, the guy who collected all the checkered flags last year, getting back to victory lane, establishing himself as that championship contender once again. I don't know if anyone had any questions, but just seeing what he did last year, getting all the way to the championship race, and probably still feeling disappointed even after all those wins last year, not getting that final big trophy. This win cements his reputation as a winner and puts him right back in the playoffs and has to put him in the championship contender conversation already. So Steven Wilson putting himself right back up there on top.
Yeah, and really I feel like these drivers are still trying to get their grasp on what's happening this season. There are lots of shakeups, and we of course know that there are new teams that join the series, and we've been seeing them doing a pretty decent job. So let's catch up with the two drivers from Kansas City Pioneers.
I chose the Kansas City Pioneers because they have a lot of exposure, and everyone that they work with, all their partners are really big NASCAR fans out of Kansas City, and they go to the Kansas City race. And I hope to accomplish everything that a rookie could accomplish this year, just hitting the marks, just being consistent, and keeping game up and being good overall.
Well, it was actually unexpected, to be honest, because I know my last 2 years of Coca-Cola series, I didn't perform the best, but having a esports team like Pioneer that actually approached me, saw something in me that I can probably exceed expectations that I know I'm capable of for this year for 2023. I want to forget 2022, honestly. That year, I just want to erase from my memory. It was not a very good experience for me. But for 2023, I think you're going to see a very different Derek Justice, and I'm going to contend for wins this year.
My path to the Coke Series is not very long, like Derek and Don have been in the series, but this is my first year doing eNASCAR professionally, and in January of 2022 was my first year doing open setups, and it's just been a really good journey. I've had a lot of people that have helped me, like Parker and Don, and everyone that has really helped me get to where I'm at right now. My biggest rival would probably be Donovan Strauss. I would say Donovan is my biggest rival because we both push each other harder each day, and I always want to beat him on and off the track.
Man, biggest rival, that's hard to say. I mean, even though it is my third year, I really don't have like a grudge against anybody, so you can't really say I have a rival, but I really don't know. If I was going to throw a name out there, I think that's going to race me hard. I mean, battle of the old guys, I'm going to say Kevin Keene.
My secret to victory would probably just being able to keep a cool, calm mind and being not nervous during the races, able to hit each apex correctly, balance school, work, and time and everything, testing, the setup, and just being not burn myself out so easily.
Getting a win, at least one win. Content, and if I do get that win, then play the big picture, just finish consistently, so you're locked in to be one of the playoff drivers to contend for the championship. When you see the moment, don't let the moment get too big. Stay humble. When you know that your expectations are going to be high, you just gotta stay within the moment and don't don't overthink it. Just be humble when you want to try to get that victory.
I love the story of this team here, Camille, because just of the mix, you've got a rookie and a veteran. And I especially loved what Derek Justice had to say about himself. He had a terrible year last year and almost sounded like he didn't believe in himself and needed somebody to believe in him. And comes this team that asked him to be a part of it. You could hear the confidence just in that conversation and in that moment from Derek. It's cool to hear from him, and hopefully they can have that success as a team.
Yeah, it definitely comes back to that confidence and building your confidence. Going from that, there is one series that tries to build their confidence to get into the Coca-Cola series. That is our college series that are vying for a championship as well.
They certainly are. They're vying for a lot of cash. And
Yes.
this was the D-Box 100.
Unfurled underneath the flag stand in our third race in the 2023 eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NASCAR League. The D-Box 100 is green. Chris Fritz tried to get it wore down in time and could not, and pounded the end barrier. Logan Clampett has been reeling in Garrett Lowe 10th by 10th over the last handful of us. Clampett able to shut the door on Garrett Lowe and take the race lead, coming to 2 laps to go at Michigan. The white flag at Michigan to make something happen on the final lap and pick up his first victory over Clampett, become our second 3-time winner in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. One more opportunity for Garrett Lowe to sail it on into turn 3 and draw even with Clampett as they enter the corner. He dives low and tried just to do that, but he couldn't quite get to Logan Clampett's rear bumper, and that leaves the Saddleback College driver home free and clear off of turn 4 to go 3 for 3 in the 2023 eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Trabuco Canyon, California's Logan Clampett back to victory lane of the D-Box 100 at Michigan.
Another great win there for Logan, and every single time that we recap one of these college races again, it just reminds me that this was not around when I was a student a couple of years ago, and it's very irritating to me, but, you know, Logan has been doing a great job competing for so much money, and of course, next one is in Daytona in a month's time, and that Time Attack, if you want to be eligible for that series, starts April 5th, so if you want to be eligible to try and run in the last race of the season, you can do that here in about a week's time.
Great way to pay for your tuition.
Get that money.
Successful. Yes, definitely. Well, earlier we got a chance to check in with a new team to our series, and now it's time to check in with a very familiar team, William Esports.
So Williams is a unique team. It's the only F1 team in eNASCAR, and obviously I love being teamed up with Vicente, and this is a big opportunity that we've had the last 2 seasons, and so that kind of just brings us back together, and I'm excited to improve and learn on what I did last year and make the most of it this year.
I think really Donovan brought me back, and all the incredible people at Williams. Their partners were so supportive of us and what we have in mind, and I think this year is just going to be a year of growth and redemption.
So me and Vicente have known each other basically the last 10 years. He's my brother. We're always by each other's side, and I got his back, he's got mine, and yeah. So we met on Xbox League Racing on NASCAR back in 2015, and we met and we became really good friends, and then we transitioned to iRacing. We've always been racing together, and we've always just been really close, and we know each other's families, and like I said, we're brothers basically.
My relationship with Don is so strong because we've known each other for so long. You know, the past 8 years we've really grown a brothership bond, and you know, with that, every single day we're talking to each other, we're growing our relationship, and I love him. The difference between eNASCAR and karting is just feeling more. With the kart, you feel everything in your butt, in the seat, and with eNASCAR, you feel everything through the wheel, and then it's a lot of eye coordination. So iRacing has definitely helped me be a lot more visual with my racing in real life, and it's made me appreciate being able to feel the car through the seat and not just through the wheel.
Yeah, so honestly, like, it's been the opposite. I think iRacing has helped the legend car racing for me. iRacing is very, like the basics of iRacing, it's really transitioned to the legend car on just how to be smooth and be straight and just drive really smooth, and it's helped me a lot, I think. I think Parker White's going to be my biggest challenger this year because Parker pushes me, and I think he knows he'll be able to get the best out of me every week, and he's always really fast, and he'll always push me. And it's the same thing with Vicente. He'll push me as well, and that's why they're my biggest challengers.
I think my biggest challenger is going to be Caden Honeycutt. I'll be working with him technically, and he pushes me every single race, still pushes me as a person. We've been best friends for a long time, so I think I've got a lot to learn from him, and he's going to keep me pushing at my best. Secret to victory is just going to be mindset, getting enough practice, taking your time, going into the races with a good mindset, and like I said, having the good people around you. It's going to help a lot, and I cannot wait to get after it.
My mental game is the biggest key to my key to victory, and the reason I say that is because I lacked that a lot last year. My mental was not there at all, and I lacked a lot in that category, and I need to improve on that. I need to fix my mistakes, and I need to get back at it this year and have a way clearer mind, and I do already. So that's gonna be my key to winning races.
That has to be one of the best stories in all of the Coke series. Just seeing the relationship between those two teammates is so cool, how far they go back, how much they care for each other. The fact that they are associated with a Formula One team, that means they get to go to the paddock when they come to America. That's so cool too, but they're both real world racers, and man, is that paying off for both of them. Let's take a look at what happened. Vicente Salas over the weekend. This is Hickory Motor Speedway, late model stocks. This is with 2 laps to go. He's on the outside there in the 55, coming around. This is everything you practice and hope for, and put yourself in the moment, hoping you can capitalize on a position like this. Look, he's not leading at the white flag, but watch the 55, make a dive here and go around. And Vicente is going to pull this off. We know he can get victories here in the Coke series, but he makes that dive down the backstretch in turn 3, coming off of 4, getting the checkered flag over the weekend at historic Hickory Speedway. And then you have this wonderful, just wonderful picture. Teammates, happiness, the trophy, FaceTiming in victory lane. It's all you could ever ask for in real life here in the Coke series. And it's just so neat to see that real world connection that we see here going on tonight and then on Sundays or Saturdays at the America Short Tracks. It's so perfect.
Congratulations. I mean, why wouldn't you want to share a winning moment? It's great to share a lot of good things. And guess what? We get to see you share your rigs with us. This is Show Us Your Rigs, brought to you by our partners at Logitech. This first one is from Massey Classy. Very affordable rig setup.
Yeah, it looks like, what, he said $20 marketplace monitors on the outside. Not bad at all. Then we have another one, just a wheel stand from Matt, but love to see it. That's a great back. What is it? I think Tony Stewart back there. I love that. The people who love smoke. It's good stuff.
And then we have John. Yeah, go ahead, John Freeman up there as well.
Got what looks like a Mark Martin diecast there from 2009. Always like to see the diecast around the rigs.
Old school. We got another one here.
Aiden, yeah.
Yeah, desktop setup. Look, no, you don't need all the bells and whistles. You just need a steering wheel and the will to win and that cool Earnhardt sticker. That can get you to victory lane. Great stuff.
I was about to say, I like the design on this laptop.
I know, it's very designed and good to go. You could take the setup anywhere.
Oh,
this one's great.
G. Taylor here. This is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, look at my setup right here. I have cool Earnhardt merch, but nothing like this. The man in black himself, all those threes.
That's a seat they pulled out of a car. I mean, that's not even a built sim seat, but I like it.
That is original in real life, let me tell you.
And we have our last one here, Chicago White Sox. This is from the infielder, Johan Makata. Look at this. Very clean. I love it.
How cool is that? A professional ball player. Of course, where are we going? The Chicago street race in NASCAR. Who helped put all that together? iRacing. So it's cool that we're getting everybody involved. The White Sox, everybody. It's very cool.
He's looking at a wall, though. That may not be such a good thing.
Yeah.
People underestimate how hard iRacing is. I can tell you it's very hard if you've never done it. So
iRacing can be definitely challenging, but you know what's not challenging? Showing us your rigs every time on Countdown to Green. Be sure to share your rig pictures on Twitter with us. Tag iRacing, tag NASCAR, use the hashtag eNASCAR. Speaking of tweets, Alan, you like the Twitters.
Yeah, I recognize that. I hope you follow me at Alan Cavana. This is a tweet I put out on Monday because Sunday's Cup winner, Tyler, he credited iRacing champ right here in the Coke Series, Keegan Leahy, with helping the team find a faster way around the Circuit of Americas. And of course, Tyler Reddick took the Cup Series win. Here's what he told me on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio.
We've got Keegan Leahy, who's really, really good sim racer, iRacer, yes. Does a lot of work for us at 2311. A lot of credit goes to him and what information he passed along to myself and Denny. So yeah, Keegan really helped me shave off some more time in the simulator, and it really paid off when we got here. It correlated very well.
That was so cool to hear because I didn't have to prompt Tyler about that. Tyler wanted to give full credit to Keegan for all the work that he has put in at the 2311 shop, hiring Keegan over there. As you can see on his latest pod, Denny Hamlin says they have hired Keegan as an employee at the shop down here in North Carolina at 2311 Racing for what Keegan can do to help that Cup Series team. Here's what Denny had to say on his pod this week.
With the rise of sim racing, what are your thoughts on these types of drivers entering the sport in some capacity?
Like sim drivers? Like iRacing? Correct.
Yep. Like your eNASCAR Coca-Cola series.
Yeah, I listen, I've worked with Keegan Leahy, our iRacing Pro Series driver for 2311 for a couple of years now. And we just recently hired him at our team to work with us. And I know that him and Tyler worked together quite a bit in preparation for COTA. I was actually there and I was surprised. I walked into the sim and I'm like, oh, hey, Keegan, what's up? What you doing here? He's like, well, I'm moving here in a month. He's from Canada, so they're working on the visa there. But I think that it's very important. Those guys have a great skill set in the world of simulation that we live in nowadays. Those guys have a skill set that can be an asset to race teams. And I know that I worked with them on road courses quite a bit, COTA being one of them. Now, again, I'm probably not a great case study because I haven't taken the big jump that I need to, but I know I worked with them at the Daytona road course, and I led early on in the Daytona road course because of the preparation that I put in with him in the team. So I think that it's a very, very valuable tool for sure. And, I think you look at, one of the, you're seeing a lot of the pro drivers or former pro drivers. I think I just saw Vincent Cialis or something like that, Salas win at Hickory on a green-white checkered. So a lot of these guys are starting to get into real racing now and actually having pretty good success. William Byron came from iRacing. I mean, that's where he got his start and raced for the first time. Honeycutt in the Truck Series, I believe he is a pro racing driver as well online, and he's now in the Truck Series. So they're starting to get opportunities, which is very cool to see.
Yeah, such a cool moment because it's so well earned. Let's remember this moment, Tyler Reddick's Cup win, and him giving some credit to Keegan Leahy, because in a few years, maybe we shouldn't be surprised if every single Cup Series team has a full-time sim racer on their staff. I don't want to exaggerate, but this could be one of the biggest moments in iRacing history. The fact that Tyler Reddick shouts out Keegan Leahy, other teams are going to start taking notice.
And I mean, that's exactly what this series is about. It's about, yes, the money, but it's also about building that exposure for sim racing. Unfortunately, though, their success on the real track in IRL doesn't necessarily help them in the sim. So, Blake, you got to take us down what's going to happen for Richmond.
We'll at least try to do that or explain some of the history behind here at Richmond Raceway and the fact that it has been here in every single season that we've run, all 13 seasons now. This 14th time that we've been to Richmond Raceway. It has been in every single season. Another thing, we have seen lap leaders do very well, including somebody we've talked a lot about tonight. Vicente Salas did it a couple of years ago to get his maiden eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series win. Michael Conti did the same thing a year ago. 11 of 13 winners have won at least one additional race in the season, so it seems to be that success here tonight usually indicates that you're going to have a pretty good year going forward. Every single winner since we have implemented the playoff system has made the playoffs, which of course that's somewhat self-explanatory, but you have to think about the fact that you have to stay in the top 20 in points and continue competing even if you have a win. Yet all of our Richmond winners have gone on to do great things, including winning many championships, including Ryan Luza, Ray Alfala, and so many of those drivers. And of course, half the race winners who have made the playoffs have made it to the Final Four at the end of the year. So we may have a very early litmus test here of who is going to compete for this championship based off of what happens at Richmond Raceway tonight. But we're going to take a look at the racetrack now. You can see that start-finish line very close to the exit of turn 4. 3/4 of a mile racetrack with the banking at 14 degrees. Opened in 1946, so it's been around NASCAR for a very long time, not exactly in this layout. And of course, as we saw earlier, Michael Conti, your winner last year, and a track that will widen out, especially on these restarts.
Yes, it's going to be interesting. You know what? I believe you because, well, I got to take a chance to go down Richmond myself. I visited the iRacing headquarters. And let's just say...
You're pushing.
I'm pushing. I didn't quite get there, but I did get to see the really cool control room that goes behind all of these shows. There's a huge team that puts this all together, and they put so much passion into this. You can actually see them wave. Hello, everyone. This is the team that is behind Countdown to Green, behind the races, and you know what? They love this as much as we do. And they also love laughing in my face because my picks aren't that great. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about our picks for Richmond. Blake, you kick us off.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the driver out of Lima, Ohio. It would be his first win since Texas in 2017. I'm going to go with Alan Bose tonight, sitting 8th in the points. His team is leading the team standings. I would love to see Alan Bose in victory lane tonight.
And look, guys, I have such a dominating lead in the standings right now. I just got to play it safe, go with someone who knows about winning from Charlotte, North Carolina, Mr. Michael Conti for Junior Motorsports. I think he gets the win. If he doesn't, he's certainly going to be up there. And Camille, let me just say, you have 3 points total on the season. That's not what they mean when they say 3 for Dale here in North Carolina. You want to score more points than 3.
Yes, definitely do. And that's why I'm going with Nick Ottinger. I'm really hoping I'm able to pull out some points here from Richmond. Hey, look, if Nick can't do it, I don't know who can. And apparently, this is very low chances of points like this happening in the picks. Never happened before. So at least I'm making history right here on Countdown to Green.
Great job.
But with that, we do have the race ahead, so be sure to stay tuned right after this break from Countdown to Green. Enjoy the race.
I need to try it first.
Here and now is when it matters most.
Heavy damage.
Not last month or last week or 48 laps ago when that bumper fell off.
He's done.
Here is where it must be left on the track. The anger, the hunger, the passion, and the drive to do whatever it takes to make it across that finish line first.
Blow those rear tires off us, bud.
Now is when the future is written in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
This is our series, where the stakes are always higher, where virtual meets reality. This is the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, look at my shine with the blow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like Bob. Time's right, and I never see us walking in a limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high risers, high tide. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you wanna play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
The road to $300,000 makes its annual stop to the action track in Henrico County, Virginia, where tonight from iRacing's virtual Richmond Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 4 of the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And as always, happy that you're joining us on this Tuesday evening on the iRacing Esports Network, where as always, alongside Blake McCandless, my name is Evan Pasoko. Blake, and tonight we get our first taste of short track action in 2023. But to your point on Countdown to Green, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're in for big surprises tonight as these drivers and the top level vets in this series continue to learn these next gen cars.
No, certainly not. And even running in the practice race with a lot of these drivers yesterday, we are learning kind of what we talked about on Countdown to Green, that success in the past and success throughout the year tends to mean that you are going to have a very good night at Richmond Raceway. And even taking a look at some of the practice times, at some of the qualifying results, that will hold true tonight.
It should be an exciting one. As you all mentioned, this is one of only 5 tracks that has been on the calendar every single season of eNASCAR competition, and we're going to get set to do it again tonight. Let's go trackside and take a look at your iRacing starting grid for tonight's Richmond 130. It is career pole position number 12 for Joe Gibbs Racing's Bobby Zelensky. His 18 is going to start on the front row alongside the man of the headlines this week, the 2311 Racing 23 of Keegan Leahy. Run number 2, we'll see Nick Ottinger's number 25 for William Byron Esports line up alongside the rookie Team Dillon Esports' number 3 of Jordy Lopez Jr. Row 3, we'll see the Charlotte Phoenix 48 of Graham Bolin alongside the Stuart Haas Esports 41 of Dylan Duval. A lot of experience on that row ahead of Dylan Alt's Latard Esports 40 and Colin Keister's E-Racer 42 on row 4. Then rounding out our top 10, it's the Junior Motorsports, the Braid of Michael Conti, and the Rise Esports, fueled by Sudoku 46 of Jimmy Mullis.
Row 6 sees Joey Brown for FGR Excel and Garrett Lowe, Jim Beaver Esports' own number 15 car, in the 12th spot. Last week's winner for Stuart Haas Gaming is Steven Wilson alongside Ryan Doucette. Just announced a modified deal. Did that driver in the 77. Jim Beaver Esports' other entry, Malik Gray, rolls off 15th with Charlotte Phoenix's Fibiolat in 16th. Casey Kerwin will start in 17th position tonight for XSET Gaming alongside Michael Cozy Jr., top 5 in the standings for the young rookie. And Garrett Main, someone who is very strong here at Richmond, the other FGR Excel driver, alongside Cody Bias for ESE in 20th.
Continuing on through row 11, you'll see the Latard 36 of Brandon McKissick in the front row, number 34 of Alan Bose. Row number 12, you'll see the RFK Racing number 6 of Timmy Holmes alongside the second of the 2311 Toyotas, that one the 45 of Michael Guest. Lucky number 13 tonight, you'll see the William Byron Esports 97 of Matt Busa alongside the RFK Racing 17 of Caden Honeycutt. Row 14 behind them will be Wyatt Tinsley in the 20 and Donovan Strauss in the 51. Got a feature on his Williams Esports team earlier tonight. And then the second Junior Motorsports Chevy, the 88 of Kevin King on row 15 alongside the XSET 4 of Ryan Luza.
Tony Kanaan Esports' Parker White will start 31st with Daniel Falkingham for JGR in 32nd. Your Daytona winner, Tucker Minter, starting from the rear of the field tonight in 33rd. 34th is Corey Vincent for Tyler Gary will roll off in row 18 to the inside with Derek Justice alongside him in row 18. Vicente Salas, fanfare and a win at Hickory Motor Speedway, but he's going to have to drive from the back of the field tonight alongside Rise Esports' own Zach Novak with an incredible paint scheme tonight. Row 20, you see Derek Bordeaux and Colin Bowden. Again, your final 4 drivers did not make a time in qualifying.
It's looked at the bottom of your iRacing starting grid. Now let's go back to the top. Bobby Zelensky sits top 5 on the all-time pole winners list. You're dialed up with him.
Bobby Z's a place you're very familiar with, but we know that pole sitters, we know lap leaders tend to do very well here at Richmond. What's your mindset going in here before we drop the green flag?
Yeah, sure. Hope we have go well here because starting pole is really important for these short tracks, getting in the clean air. But it's a short track. Anything can happen. Bumps, cautions at bad times, bad pit stops, whatever. So I'm feeling pretty good. I felt good for qualifying. I feel really good for the race, but ultimately just gotta go race, see what happens.
Buddy, he was very strong at Phoenix last year. You'd imagine that would translate here tonight to Richmond Raceway. Bobby Z, good luck to you, my man.
Thank you.
Take a quick peek at our iRacing race analysis. Blake, 130 laps on deck tonight.
Yeah, you can see a very long pit window, nearly as long as the race itself. And again, that can change a lot depending on the gearing that these drivers are running.
It's going to be a long one. We're happy that you're with us on a Tuesday night. Zelensky in control as we say, let's go racing at Richmond. So Zelensky opens it up front, battle for second in favor of Ottinger at the end of lap number 1, but those Logitech Chevys not done yet.
And this is what you're going to see a lot throughout this night, especially on these restarts, is drivers who are able to use both lanes. Ottinger able to clear down to the bottom just ahead right there of Keegan Leahy. We talked about all that Leahy and the fanfare that he has had early on in this week, slotting himself into the 3rd position. But it's going to take a couple of laps for these drivers to really funnel down, and you can see how well that 2nd lane working right now for a number of them who are starting on the outside.
And rightfully so, Keegan Leahy winning an eNASCAR championship with 2311 back in 2021 and now being an integral part of their NASCAR Cup Series operation. Jumping back a little bit as the race leaders find a bit of space to the midfield here where nobody can find a gap. You're looking at the 17 middle of the road there, and that is Caden Honeycutt, 28th position as we jump back towards the front. Leahy tried to get under the Logitech Chevy Ottinger, but his Logitech Toyota not able to do so right now. But some good-looking cars sitting 2-3. If you didn't know the leaderboard, Blake, you might think that's the battle for the race lead because there's Bobby way out there. Huge advantage for the race leader, almost a second already.
Well, and if you're Zelensky, you have to wonder, you're pushing a little bit too hard right now, but also if you're Bobby, you got to take advantage of the clean air. We hear it a lot of times now when you talk about Richmond Raceway is how important being out there in that clean air is. You can see him not having to deal with any of the side-by-side battling. You might as well build up as much of a lead as you can, as they are still side-by-side back here for 4th with Jordy Lopez Jr. and Dylan Duvall, a pair of drivers who have shown very well early in this 2023 season.
A little bit of 3 wide, a step back. That's Mike Conte on the outside. The number 48, Michigan Graham Boland, middle of the road. They'll find themselves 2x2 as they get off to the corner. All of them chasing down Dylan Duvall's 41, who sits at 4th on the tail end of the aforementioned Ottinger and Leahy. Now it's the 48 up top, couple of cars down on the bottom, and a real aggressive look. Is Dylan Alt going to go underneath? It's the Coca-Cola Chevy on the Coke Zero Sugar Chevy. They're side by side in turn 2.
And Alt went very low down there on the front stretch, and you know, that's a move that I think we'll see a lot more later on tonight. Only 8 laps into this one, which of course is one of the longest races that we've seen here tonight. But you know, I actually have a Coke Zero Sugar right here on my desk, so you know what, I guess I'll root for Dylan Alt here to make this pass.
He's got the advantage right now. He pulls a half a car length on the inside. Let's see what the 3 can do up top. They are nose to nose and trying to get in on the action. Right behind him, the 46 of Mullis and the 42 car of Keister in their own battle for 9th and 10th, but the road's blocked. They can't go anywhere until the 40 and the 3 car decide what's going to happen here. More cars on the bottom. It stacks the 40 car up at times, but Blake, tell us about this Richmond Raceway. I mean, these cars are sitting side by side. They look pretty evenly matched. Is it better to be inside or out? Looks like the 40 is going to get it now here on the inside.
It's a lot of what I saw last night running against many of these drivers who participated in the Class A Open race last night when the official week transitioned over to Richmond Raceway. Is things can get sorted out pretty quickly up front, but when you're side by side, again, you're kind of slowing each other down on the straightaways with a little bit of side draft that exists here at Richmond. Not going very fast, but it is enough to kind of drag them back. And you can see how they're willing to defend the real estate as a big block there to turn number 1 from Dylan Duvall early here on lap number 12, and you can see they are trying to defend that bottom lane, which seems to be the place to be in terms of how you want to set your car up for the long run and save those tires a little bit.
Not missing anything up front. Zelensky has led all 12 laps thus far. His advantage now 1.3 seconds over Ottinger 2 and Leahy 3. No changes for position amongst those drivers since the opening lap of the race when Nick Ottinger was able to make that real quick pass on Leahy, courtesy of starting on the inside of row number 2. In fact, throughout the top 10, top 15, most everybody trying to get single filed out. A couple of lookers. In fact, both of the Coca-Cola cars were looking to try to make moves that time, but both Alt and Lopez stay single file in their respective groups. And now to the inside goes, look like that 46 car who tucked in. So we referenced Keegan Leahy and everything that he's accomplished here on the sim, an eNASCAR iRacing champion for 2311 Racing, but also that knowledge has extended far beyond the virtual walls of the iRacing track. Let's listen in to a clip from this week's Actions Detrimental broadcast with Denny Hamlin. He'll tell you more about it, and we'll talk more on the backside.
With the rise of sim racing, what are your thoughts on these types of drivers entering the sport in some capacity?
Like sim drivers? Like
sim drivers.
iRacing?
Correct. Yep. Like your eNASCAR Coca-Cola series.
Yeah, I listen, I've worked with Keegan Leahy, our iRacing Pro Series driver for 2311 for a couple of years now. And we just recently hired him at our team to work with us. And I know that him and Tyler worked together quite a bit in preparation for COTA. I was actually there, and I was surprised. I walked into the sim, and I'm like, oh, hey, Keegan, what's up? What you doing here? He's like, well, I'm moving here in a month. He's from Canada, so they're working on the visa there. But I think that it's very important. Those guys have a great skill set in the world of simulation that we live in nowadays. Those guys have a skill set that can be an asset to race teams. And I know that I worked with them on road courses quite a bit, COTA being one of them. Now, again, I'm probably not a great case study because I haven't taken the big jump that I need to, but I know I worked with them at the Daytona road course, and I led early on in the Daytona road course because of the preparation that I put in with him in the team. So I think that it's a very, very valuable tool for sure. And, I think you look at, one of the, you're seeing a lot of the pro drivers or former pro drivers. I think I just saw Vincent Cialis or something like that, Salas win at Hickory on a green-white checkered. So a lot of these guys are starting to get into real racing now and actually having pretty good success. William Byron came from iRacing. I mean, that's where he got his start in race for the first time. Honeycutt in the truck series, I believe he is a pro racing driver as well online, and he's now in the truck series. So they're starting to get opportunities, which is very cool to see.
The story for Keegan Leahy, largely the same as it is for everybody else in the top 5. Conversations between him and his crew chief sounded like this a few laps ago. Settle in, get some laps,
be easy on the tires and try and protect the bottom as best as you can, which Michael Conti throwing a small wrench into the plans of the newest employee at 2311. But so far so good for Keegan Leahy, a strong run for the 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion as we get set to go on board with him, courtesy of our friends at Logitech G.
It's a good look on board there with Keegan Leahy as we take a look back and watch some of the battles in the midfield of Blake. And, to Denny's point there, it's not just Keegan, right? It's Vicente, it's Caden. There's so many other drivers in the ranks here who are making a splash on the real world scene these days.
Well, and I love seeing, of course, these drivers who are able to translate what they take into the sim and translate it into the real world. But I think the biggest compliment in everything that has happened with Keegan Leahy is the fact that it's strictly sim, that this translates over to helping them find speed in the real world. Keegan hasn't gotten behind the wheel of one of these cup cars yet. He helped Tyler Reddick find speed just through virtue of the sim, and it shows you that iRacing translates into the manufacturer sims that they have. And I think Alec Cabana made a good point. Is this a trend we're going to see moving forward, where teams look at this as an opportunity to find these guys who are experienced and excel at sim racing, and whether that can help them on the real world side as well, with how much testing and everything that goes on in the virtual space as well. So I think that's a great compliment to everything that he's doing. And obviously they think he's good enough to try and help them go faster. As you can see, once again, Garrett Maines, this is just outside the top 20, just inside the top 20 rather, as he goes side by side with Joey Brown.
It's a good look here on board, both looking from his perspective in the bottom left and also a look at him up in the top left. And Denny, don't feel bad about getting Vicente's name a bit confused there. Poor guy led every single lap here at Richmond a couple of years ago, and I was still thinking it was close to Salad in Salas. So Vicente Salas, another one of those guys. That was right here at Richmond, was the first time any driver ever led every single lap in an oval race en route to victory in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Maybe Bobby Zielinski trying to join those ranks tonight. He is still in control, 29 laps out in front, and really seems pretty calm right now. We knew that this race could have gone a couple of different directions, but at the moment, field spreading out a little bit may be a good sign for things to keep going as we highlight Joey Brown in the 14 Ford.
Certainly so. 31 laps in, and I think this is kind of that point in the run where you're going to see cars who are able to drive through the field and cars that aren't. And one thing that I think was really interesting in running that test race last night is Steven Wilson gets out of shape. Maines gets into the back of him. They save it, and Wilson keeps it together, but racing very close. A touch off for the corner once again. And we talked about how things calm down. Again, this is a battle for 15th. Maines isn't done. He moves him up out of the groove. Maines is not happy right now with Steven Wilson. He thinks he's holding him up.
And he used him up that time in two, ushered the 10 car out of the way, and it's going to open the floodgates. Not only does Maines get through and clear, but look at the 14 of Brown all over each other as they race off at turn 4. Sparks fly between the 14 and the 10 as the battle for 16th continues.
Steven Wilson is a lot more straight-faced than I would be if I was making contact every other corner with somebody. And you can see Joey, he's really intense right there. And I mean, they are inches off each other. Wilson's in the fence, and you can see his reaction. And then he turns him in the right rear. He hooked him going into the corner. Caution is out, and you saw it right there. And Wilson is not happy with himself, but I don't know if he lost control trying to pull it off the wall. But regardless, Brown gets the worst end of it.
Well, we watched that whole scenario unfold over the course of a couple laps. Again, it all started when the 12 moved the 10 up the hill. That's what set up the battle between Brown and Wilson. And we had the unique perspective of watching the 14 live as that all came to an end. And you're right. I mean, Steven Wilson got turned around. He ended up into the outside wall, but he was able to keep rolling. The 14's the one who ended up backwards and certainly is going to lose the most spots, but it's the first opportunity under the yellow flag for wholesale pit service. Everybody's in with 95 to go. Let's take a look at what happened to put us under the first yellow flag of the night. 14 and 10. Here's the contact. Wilson gets into the wall, and then it's when he comes off the wall where it's that secondary contact, Blake.
I don't know. Brown looks a little bit loose right there. And obviously, I mean, these drivers lap after lap are running mere inches off of each other. We'll see it from the eyes of the Loves Ford, Front Row Motorsports, and Alan Bowes. You can see it up the road. And yeah, I think there's no doubt about it. Wilson was pretty upset. And at least from that vantage point, to me, looks like he was showcasing some of that frustration, but I think that's more than he wanted to. He was clearly upset that he was involved in that incident afterward and probably did a number to damage his race car.
And possibly a change for the lead under the caution to flag a pit sequence. We'll have to wait till they catch up to the pace car because that scoring line right at the end of pit stall number 1, we talk about how critical that pit stall is and that qualifying position is. I thought Bobby Zelensky had got there in time to defend the race lead. However, at 25 of Nick Ottinger being scored, so we have a new race leader under the yellow.
Well, and with how fast that Bobby Zelensky was, I think that's the only chance that somebody was going to pass him or so inside the last 20 laps or so.
Well, let's talk with Joey Brown. You got him dialed up on the radio, Blake.
Joey Brown, we saw you racing hard there with Steven Wilson off of 4. What happened there on the front stretch?
I don't know, just racing hard. I think it's hard to pass, and I think maybe some tempers got a little flared, but you know, it is what it is. We'll just see what we can do with the car. Didn't have too much damage, so we'll just have to come back to the back and see what we can do here.
Before that contact happened with you, though, it seemed like you were moving forward. You think maybe able to try to get some spots here with about 90 to go?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's a good car. We were fast. I was trying to give as much room as I could at the beginning, so we actually lost a couple spots from where we started, but I was just trying to take it easy, and the tires started to come back compared to everyone else, and it just got caught up. That's unfortunate.
All right, Joey. Well, hopefully the car's okay, and we'll see you move forward here.
I appreciate it.
They try to keep on going right now. Scored in 37th position. All cars, at least at the moment, still on the lead lap. Of course, most of the drivers in that time for scheduled service. 4 tires and fuel, the popular decision. A little bit of extra service for the likes of Wilson and Novak towards the rear. They come down a couple extra times, and they'll round out those high 30s. Lights already out, though, on top of the iRacing pace car. They'll line up like this. Ottinger to the inside of row 1. He will be the control car as they look for the restart zone. Then it pushes Zelensky to the outside in 2nd. Conti from 9th to 3rd. Mullis 10th to 4th. Watch those cars on row number 2. Green flag back in the air. Good jump for the 25. He's got the lead side by side. 2nd on back. Zelensky the advantage. Conti pulls alongside and 3 wide outside the top 10.
That is Doucette, Cozy, and Kerwin that are 3 wide just behind this battle. But you can see Garrett Lowe jumping up to that 2nd lane. He's another one of those drivers that has really been making some hay. Moved up about 7 spots or so since we dropped the green flag, as we're once again 3 wide. You can see Maines and Olot and Strauss all 3 wide, nearly leaning on each other as Keister just up the road had a little bit of contact with Ryan Doucette.
Femi Olat was in the middle of the 3 wide. He tried to go low, but he couldn't do it. The 7 Malik Ray jumped down there. So all kinds of action. And now even further on back, more 3 wide as they are 2 rows deep of it in the high 20s. They're going to sort it out. They'll be 2 by 2 by 2 as they race down the back straightaway. But it doesn't matter if it's top 5 or bottom 5. Everybody aggressive on this restart.
Everybody's aggressive, including Bobby Zielinski, who was side by side for the race lead with Ottinger. He lost it off of turn 4, but will regroup and try to chase back after that race leader. Bobby Zielinski, though, the fact that he's in dirty air right now and that 18 car is still cutting through the center of the corner as well as it is, I think it bodes very well for that JGR Toyota. As you see Garrett Lowe and even right beneath him, man, we've been talking about a lot tonight, and Keegan Leahy still trying to make their way forward as well.
You saw Garrett Lowe, no finishes better than 28th so far this year, but he is up 7 spots for the moment. Keegan Leahy trying to reel one of those back as they are side by side in a battle for what is 5th and 6th at the moment. And Leahy goes for the 2 for 1. He'll go to the inside of Mullis. It's Lowe to the outside of the 46. Somehow Jimmy pulls out of that one, but a close call for the Sudoku Chevrolet single file in P4.
It is so impressive how close these drivers can get to one another and not make any contact as they are running what looks like a chain race with how close they can get to one another. And Leahy's so good getting into the brakes in turn 1. Once again, 3 wide. And Lowe just about scrapes the outside wall. They stay 3 abreast. And there's hardly enough room right there for 3 wide, but they're somehow making it happen.
And now it's Leahy on the bottom. It's Mullis in the middle and the 15 of Garrett Lowe to the outside. 3 wide. Battle for 4th as both of the Coca-Cola Chevrolets watch on. Off of 2. Sustained 3 wide. Didn't think the Thunderbirds were here for a flyover tonight, but they're giving it to us. What a show. The 23 clears it, but the 40 is going to be the instigator here. Dylan Alt says, I saw what the inside did for you. He wants to follow Leahy through, and he's in a real good spot to do so now as he drives up on the inside. Bit of a touch that time off of turn number 2 as you jump on board with Lopez.
This is what I love to see, and Garrett Lowe, he has a lot of trust right now because he's leaving those guys just enough room for the width of their race cars as he's kind of holding them 3 wide. But this is how good these drivers are as Mullis gets a tap from Alt. Lopez gets the better end of it. They still keep it green. That is how impressive these Coke Series drivers are. As Duval misses the corner, Strauss is able to take that punch and keep on rolling. And boy, there is action everywhere at Richmond tonight.
Duval missed 2 of them. He made contact off of 2 with Keister, got sideways, and then it messed up his entry for 3. Then you saw him miss that entry in 3, and Dylan Duval is going to lose a whole slew of positions in just a lap as he will trickle down to 18th position. So all of the positive movement that he made early in this race is gone. He's back in the midfield, and he'll have to fight with the likes of Donovan Strauss, Femi Olat, and more to get back up and into the conversation. Just ahead of the Pioneers, number 20 of Wyatt Tinsley, the 36 of Brandon McKissick as well, back there in the mix. So a lot of rookies in the midfield. 50 laps down, though, from Richmond Raceway, and Nick Ottinger has took over control. He's got Zielinski hot on his heels. Long way to go from Richmond on the other side.
There's a thin line in the NASCAR Xfinity Series between winning and losing, between being the future and being past, between headlines and tailspins, between making history and being it, between the sweet taste of victory and the fumes of defeat. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, there's a thin line between being a name they know and being a name they'll never forget.
live at iRacing's virtual Richmond Raceway, where coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. One yellow flag through the opening 56 laps of this Richmond 130 as we inch closer and closer to halfway home. Nick Ottinger took over the race lead under the most recent yellow flag. He is still out in front of the field. Hot on his heels, Bobby Zalenski, the only two cars who have led laps tonight. Colin Keister in the midfield, down 5 from the start of this one, just on the tail end of the top 10. You got some action between the 12 and the 7 back here, as well as these drivers look for a bit of rhythm to cycle this race out into.
Speaking of rhythm, Casey Kerwin seems to have the same rhythm in just about every race that we run. But back up front, Bobby Zalenski has been hounding Nick Ottinger since they started this run about 20 laps ago. And I tell you what, that number 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota is probably the fastest car on the property right now. He has clean air, he has the inside, but is it enough to try and get by Nick Ottinger? And oh, by the way, Michael Conti is right in this as well.
Conti started 9th, gained a lot through the first run. He has sat in 3rd since we got back over there, but they're wrecking behind. The 41's into the outside wall. He takes his at the 36 with him, and they do not look happy. Dylan Duvall contact in the corner, and it was he and Brandon McKissick, but it looked like the 12 was somewhere in there as well, and we'll have our second yellow of the night, and I'll be real curious to see how this one started.
Well, I'm kind of interested to see how it did as well, because I think they were reacting to something that was happening a little bit further up the road for a battle that was happening around the top 15 or so. But once again, you see pit road is a pretty popular place. Again, you have 3 tire sets, one of which they started with, one of which they took earlier, so not many sets of Goodyear Eagles left on pit road. We're going to take a look at the replay here, and this is somewhat of a chain reaction to something happening further up the road. You can see Maines is very slow. McKissick tries to shoot a gap, and unfortunately, Dylan Duvall goes for the same piece of real estate, and that's what brings out this latest yellow. You can see Duvall there not very happy with it, but I think the initial contact, you're going to look and see if you could see the 12 car through all of these race cars, and you can see the contact that happens there. And again, chain reaction to it, and oh man, Kevin King escaped Garrett Maines by inches.
It was a close call there, and you're right. The initial contact started when the 12 of Maines got loose off of 2, and it came down into both the 7 of Malik Ray and the 43 of Femi Olat. That was the checkup up the road that spiraled into the accident that you just saw, Blake, and let's get Dylan Duvall's perspective.
All right, Dylan, I know there was a lot going on in front of you, but from your perspective, what happened?
From my perspective, it looks like everyone out here is driving like a bunch of idiots tonight. I mean, it's not a whole lot more to say about it than that. I've been run through, I think, 5-6 times already in 60 laps. Kind of over it at this point. So, yeah, next person that hits me is probably going to be knocked out, but that's the way it goes.
All right, well, I think, Evan, you can see the result of short track tempers going on here at Richmond Raceway with 69 laps to go.
Yeah, there is a long way to go. So if the emotions and the patience of the drivers in the midfield is already spent, it's going to be an exciting second half. And again, I think, tough break. We saw that it was a chain reaction accident. Dylan obviously not happy that he got right reared in that situation, but I think all those cars in his area, just trying to avoid the wreck in front. But to his point, he says he's been hit a couple of times, so maybe the fuse is short, and we have seen plenty of drivers leaning on each other over the course of this one. Not everybody comes to pit road, so call it about it. Michael Guest and Tyler Gary will stay out. They will take over 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And it was a mixed bag on pit road. Leahy's got 2 tires. He'll be 4th. Zelensky's got 4 tires. He'll be 5th. Pace car off it in. Let's take this one on board the perspective of the Coca-Cola onboard camera. Green flag back in the air.
Oh, huge crash as one car is slammed up against the outside wall, and it is Graham Bolin. A huge stack up on the restart, and I think he even got turned. May have had someone get loose above him on that restart. I'd love to see another look at that and exactly what happened. Pretty much a single car incident.
Yeah, there was a lot of smoke. It happened right in the midfield area. So let's see what happened. You're looking for that teal 48 car on the bottom. Above him is the 38 of Michael Cozy Jr. Let's see. They come through 4. Just a little twitch. Gets on the gas. Car gets loose. Comes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Blake, the fact that they're restarting basically in the center of the corner, does it make that 38 car more susceptible to spinning the tires like that?
Yes, it does. And again, there are different gear packages that these drivers could run here tonight. And Cozy is right at the top of first gear. He steps on the gas. There's a little bit of a checkup with Jordy Lopez Jr. right in front of him. And all those things happened at the same time. He hit the gas. He hit the brake. He shifted at the same time. Got that car all out of sorts. And Graham Bolin, just an innocent victim right there. Nothing he could do.
Tough break for Graham because it's going to knock him back down the peg. He had already had a bit of a rough go in this opening half, started way up in 5th position. He was in the mid-teens when that accident happened, and now he is shown on the scoring pylon in 37th. So tough break for him. Meanwhile, Michael Cozy Jr. with the number 38 machine, one of a couple of true rookies in the field this season in 2023. Blake, you've got him on the radio.
All right, Michael Cozy Jr. Will pull you in after that last restart. Any indication that something was going to happen there?
Not at all. No, I just really sorry to Graham and anybody else that got involved there. It's just yeah, plenty fine restarts. No problems on the restarts at any point. I guess it's just a rookie mistake there. As soon as I was on it, it just bit really hard, like it bottomed out there, and once bottom of the track, bottom of the car hits track, not good. I was already hooking Graham. There wasn't anything I could do. Just really sorry to those guys. I hate to do that kind of stuff.
All right, Cozy, we'll let you get back after it. Good luck the rest of this way through in the second half.
Thank you.
Cozy driving for Front Row Motorsports. He's up a couple of spots from where he started this race in 18th position, currently being scored in 15th. Lights on the pace car out this time. Blake, what do you make of this decision by Bowden to Guest and to Gary? 31 lap old tires. That's about 26 lap tires older than the rest of the drivers who came down under the most recent yellow.
Well, these laps under yellow are helping them, and for Bowden, they were running in the back. Tyler Gary was running in 37th, so as much as it is a strange call, because again, tires do wear pretty significantly here, but we've seen this time and time again. I'm sure these teams are thinking, well, one, we're in the back, two, these races tend to go green for a while, and then if we get yellows, we kind of get a string of them. So this is definitely a strategy play. We'll see if it works out for them.
We'll jump back onto board with the number 40, Dylan Alt. Green flag going to be back in the air. 63 laps to go in Richmond. All kinds of contact in front and another quick caution flag. I don't know if anybody actually went all the way around in that one, Blake, but we saw the contact happen up the road from the 40 right around that number 66 car.
Yeah, it was Tyler Gary who got spun right there, and I think that's just a product of what we saw with them, the fact that they're on old tires. Zelensky, no intention there to run into the back of him, but Gary, like you said, he saved it, went around about 90 degrees, but that was about it.
Tyler Gary hangs on, but a yellow flag comes out, so we'll pace with about 60 laps to go in Richmond. Out in front, Colin Bowden leading some laps. We'll see Guest, Zelensky, Leahy, they're all in the mix as well.
I need to try it first.
March is Women's History Month, and NASCAR is proud to recognize the accomplishments of past and present icons within the sport. From drivers like Sarah Christian, the first woman to compete in a NASCAR Cup Series race, to track presidents like Julie Giese, Lori Collier-Warren, Latasha Causey, and Jill Gregory, the women leading the venues in which we race across the country. All of these women have helped pave the way for future generations. We are proud to celebrate them and all women year-round.
People throw around legend a little too freely these days. Legends are legends for a reason. It's why most are never called it.
Stewart wins at Richmond.
A legend in this sport is about 75 years of going fast and all the unforgettable moments that filled those years up. So after all this time, when we call something NASCAR Legends, you best know we mean it.
Coverage of tonight's race brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And by NASCAR. March is Women's History Month, and eNASCAR is proud to recognize the accomplishments of past and present women within the sport. Their contributions made by these women to the sport should be celebrated as they help fuel NASCAR's past, present, and future. Lights out on top of the base car. 58 laps to go on the scoring pylon for Colin Bowden, 69 Chevy. Green flag in the air. Good jump by Guest to the outside. The 45 Toyota's right there as well.
You know, Colin Bowden under the caution. We've made it halfway. He said it was raining here, which of course it's not, but you know, that's something that is not too far off in the distance if you're an iRacing customer.
One of the things that we've been looking forward to for a long time might be just on the doorstep of the service. Keep an eye on that space, especially for those in the road racing scene. And that can apply to the stock cars here, too, because we go racing on the road. We got rain tires for these in the Cup Series. Look out. They're knocking down the wall off at 2. The 7's into the inside wall. The 43 car of Femi Olat gets pile driven to the inside. And they all wash up and park them in 3. It's a mess for another yellow.
Well, for another rain analogy, when it rains, it pours, and that has been the theme for pretty much each of the last 2 years when it comes to this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, that the racing is very good. We tend to get one yellow, and that seems to create a little bit more, and I think this was another move further back in the pack as they were trying to make it 4 wide. I think Tyler Gary was kind of the catalyst for this once again, as Colin Bowden has given up the lead to come down pit road. That is a very strange call.
Stayed out on the, I guess, yellow 2 or 3 yellows ago to take over the top spot. He will bow out and head to pit road. Let's see where all of this happens. And you're looking for the 66 of Gary right there. He's holding his line, Blake, and it's the other faster cars behind that are trying to pass him. And you can see how it snowballs. 43's into the wall. The 4 car goes up. I mean, the whole track's blocked. It's the second incident in which Tyler Gary gets hit from behind, Blake. How do you balance that as a driver, right? It's not like Tyler's cutting anybody off or running anybody over, but he did stay out with no tires. It was significantly slower, therefore getting hit from behind twice.
Well, I think it's a balancing act, right? If you're in the rest of the field, is my pick. Alan Bosey barely cleared that wreck, yes. But it's one of those things where, yes, if you're Gary, he's running to the outside. He's not changing lanes. But that move is created because everybody behind is trying to get by him as quickly as possible. They're going 4 wide when maybe that won't work. And you know, it's tough. Gary's doing all the right things there. He's not blocking. He's not trying to stay in the way. But also, this is kind of what you're getting into if you stay out on 20, 30 lap old tires. It's a tough thing to balance. As we've queued up Femi Olat right here. You can see the damage on his number 43 Charlotte Phoenix Toyota. A big wreck right there. Femi, is there anything you could have done to try to avoid that?
Be around people who have eyes and a brake pedal.
Well, we see you have a Formula rim right there. How is that helping you tonight?
Well, I mean, I prefer the rim. I don't know. One caution comes out, ruins the whole race. I mean, the wheel has nothing to do with everybody else on track.
All right, Femi, we'll let you get back after it. Sorry about your luck.
Tough break there as Femi's going to find himself downscored in 39th position, and a lot of opinions tonight over the driver radio channel and a lot of frustrations for the drivers involved in these incidents in the middle of the pack. We'll try it again. Let's see if it'll make a difference. Pace car off, 52 laps to go. It's a front row of Bobby Zelensky and the 8 car Conti. Green's in the air. It's a great jump for the 18. It's old Bobby Z to turn 1, and here comes Leahy to the inside for second.
Side by side, we'll see if Conti can try to get clear. Bobby Zelensky, we know how good he was in clean air earlier tonight. He has it once again. He has fresh tires, 52 laps to go. We talk about, the tire fall off and whether everybody can run him back down. He's somewhat adjusted his line. He's moved up about half a lane or so. But I don't know if he's going to be within earshot of those guys. He pulled completely away earlier. We'll see if he can do it again. It looks like Conti able to get by Keegan Leahy there for second.
Yeah, since the yellow flag a couple of laps ago, it's made Bobby's first laps led since he dominated the opening 36 some odd laps of this race from when he started from pole position, and he is picking up where he left off, trying to build a bit of a gap. Back here, 3 wide, maybe. The 33 did everything he could to get to the inside, but Minter unable to get underneath the 34 of Bose. They'll try it again. Race into the bottom off it into turn 1. 34 squeezes, 33 persists. They touch in the center, and they'll be 3 wide down the back straightaway.
Aggressive move there from Tucker Minter. You can see up the road, Matt Busa. And I think as we go on in this race, that high lane seems to be working a little bit better. Spones gets a little bit of clean air. Tucker Minter able to go by there on the bottom. Busa really holding strong there on the top. You can see Timmy Holmes. We've had a couple of chances to talk about him this season. Trying to crack his way up into the top 20 as they're wrecking in front of them, smoking, and that is Dylan Alt, who clears it as they almost wreck a second time trying to avoid the 40 car.
Yeah, Alt was slow up top. Another accident where it happens ahead of where we're looking. By the time those cars caught it, Alt was already pointed back straight, but I think he did go all the way around, so we'll have to climb up the leaderboard to see where this incident originated from. I think it's going to be somewhere between the 40 of Dylan Alt and then the 51 of Donovan Strauss. It was a battle for 6th and 7th as they went off into turn 3.
He just gets a little bit under Strauss. He's trying to take that run. And honestly, all things considered, you do a 360 in front of the field. Bose is fishtailing that car, trying not to spin it as well. But if you're Dylan Alt, you spin at the exit of the corner on the bottom of the track and nobody hits you. I mean, yeah, you don't like to be spun, but that could have ended up much, much worse.
Could have been, but tell that to the likes of Alt and others who dropped down 20 some odd spots. And that, again, you talk about the frustration, and again, you get those 30 laps up front, no issues. And then once you get that one yellow, it's kind of hard to break back into a rhythm. And Blake, when every single driver in the field is complaining about how everybody else is driving, then who's to blame if everybody thinks it's everybody else? Take a look back from earlier tonight. Countdown to green. Blake, you were talking about your pick making it through one of the most recent wrecks. Nick Andre, Michael Conti, Alan Bose. We've talked about all 3 of those guys tonight.
Well, not so much Bose in a good sense. He did save that race car, but hasn't been quite up towards battling for the win as we've had with Nick and Michael, who, I mean, are really showcasing the same speed that we saw early on last year with Michael and with Nick, and how good they've been early in each season. They're showing it once again here, James Pike.
A little note from Keegan Leahy. I've been listening into his radio the last 15 or 20 laps, and he's becoming increasingly aggravated with the way that Jimmy Mullis is racing. It feels like that Jimmy is ducking down at the bottom, trying to dive bomb him a little bit. He said on the radio, and I quote, "The more he tries to do that, the less inclined I am to let him pass me, even if he's faster." Remember that Leahy took 2 tires on the last time these drivers came in about 30 laps ago. Mullis took 4, so there is a tire advantage for the Rise Esports driver. But worth noting that Leahy likely not going to cut Mullis many breaks for the rest of this race, given what's already transpired in his eyes.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree, right? I mean, you're low with 44, soon to be 43 laps to go in this race. You're not just going to be able to convince everybody to start to take it easy all of a sudden on each other. Let's see Graham Boland under the yellow flag here most recently, the 48 car, so yellow flag conditions.
And again, remember what happened at Milwaukee a couple of weeks ago. Derek Bordeaux ended up getting suspended after hitting Vicente Salas and spinning him out. I think that's a little more acceptable right there. Just a little bump and a nudge, and a subtle way of saying I wasn't very happy with what you just did.
Yeah, that's all up to code. Just relaying a message under the yellow flag there. And again, as these frustrations continue to boil over, you're going to see drivers give a lot less and maybe take a lot more. And I think that's really been the root cause of a lot of the accidents we've seen in the last 15 to 20 laps. Pace car off this time, going to be with 42 laps to go. Can Zelensky get the good jump again? Yes, he'll be clear of Michael Conti. Green flag in the air. And Jimmy Mullis now trying to get to the inside of the 8 car for second.
Mola is somebody else who's really been able to pass cars a lot easier than many we've seen tonight, but Conti able to clear him off of turn 2. They're 3 wide further back in the pack. Here's somebody else who has really carved his way through the field, and Kevin King. Haven't talked about him a whole lot tonight, but that 88 car has done a pretty decent job making the bottom lane work and making up a spot here or there. Has a little bit of damage on the right front fender, but looks to be clear that 3 wide battle that he was just a part of.
Yeah, a lot of these cars doing a real good job. Busa, who was up into the outside wall a moment ago, he's up 11 spots. King's up 14. White's up 14. Minter's up 15. And he's wearing his teammate's merch. Kevin King rocking the Mike Conti t-shirt. As the yellow comes out behind, you see the smoke as you look off of the back, and it is the number 3 car that's around Jordi Lopez Jr.
Yeah, it's tough for Lopez, who was running really strong earlier, started 4th in this race. But yet another incident there off of turn 4, and I think just 2 cars that are, again, how many wrecks have we seen tonight, Evan, where guys are at least 3 wide? We know Richmond, you can fit 3 wide, but that just seems to be kind of where everything goes wrong. 3, 4 wide. We've seen it so many times. And I think this is another case right here. Look at Caden Honeycutt in the 17. Michael Guest right there in the 45. And yep, 3 wide right there. Not enough space right there for Guest, who runs into the wall. Lopez gets spun around as well.
Yeah, the 17 or the 41, sorry, in front of them, Dylan Duval is just following the inside car of the 2 wide in front of them. And you'll see Malik Ray's perspective of this is, look out, not a lot of room to go to the inside, but he finds a gap. And when Duval's following a 2 wide pattern in front, Blake, all of a sudden he's got 2 cars trying to get to his outside. He's not leaving that much space because they weren't there in the corner, and it just tightened up, and it was the 17 and the 45 locked together, and they went sliding into the fence. I think we've got Jimmy Mullis dialed up on radio. Blake, let's see what you can get for the drive of the 46 car.
Jimmy Mullis, one of the strongest cars that we have seen here tonight, but you got 2 really good ones in front of you, and Bobby Z and Michael Conti. What's the strategy here to try and get by him?
I'll be honest with you, Blake. Obviously, this is the first time I've been up front in a while, so just trying to survive here. And on these restarts, I'm just trying to get in line and take care of it. I think if we can go green, I'll have something for him, but we're also close on short run. I don't really at this current point, I'm not pushing to try and do anything crazy, but we'll see what happens here.
All right, Jimmy. Well, we know you got a shot at it. If you could get a good restart, we'll be rooting for you up here, man. Good luck.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, Jimmy, somebody else is looking for an improvement from how the season started for him. He has finished 24th, 19th, and 38th, respectively, in the first 3 rounds of the year. There's a handful of drivers certainly that have finished worse than him, but plenty of room for improvement, Blake. We revisit the iRacing race analysis. 130 laps in this one. We're already inside of the final 40. It went by pretty quickly. You talked a lot about the tire set strategy earlier in this race. We did see a bit of difference. Drivers took 2, some took 4, some stayed out. But with all these yellows late, it seems like all the race leaders back on strategy with each other.
Well, and I don't think we're really at a point that you're going to see a whole lot of people commit to coming down again. We need a run long enough to where the tires actually wear, and then even if that happens, are you really going to potentially go back to 25th or 30th if you're up front to get 4 tires for the last 10, 15 laps when we may have some more cautions after that? Don't really think that that's going to happen. So I imagine where you are now is where you are stuck.
And it could be tricky because Leahy and Strauss took 2 tires the last time they pitted. Of course, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, then sign up today by scanning the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And as always, for more information on the schedule, the standings, and even info on how you could one day qualify to be a driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, go to iRacing.com/eNASCAR today to get all of that information. The season is still young, a long way to go, but of course the world of eNASCAR and iRacing goes far beyond the laps scheduled here on Tuesday nights. For more information on how you can start your iRacing career today, you can go to iRacing.com for more information. And if you're a fan of dirt racing, the World of Outlaws dirt racing video game is available now for Xbox and a PlayStation. More information on that at worldofoutlaws.game.com. Pace car off. Zelensky needs to keep nailing these restarts. There's another good one. Green flag with 34 to go. He's clear up front. Again, Mullis tries to get to the bottom. Not going to matter. Wrecking on the back straightaway. The 3, the 31, the 27, and more. Another quick caution.
And I think the first car I saw turned around there off of turn 2 was Derek Justice. Again, another case. Guys get 3 wide, and there's just nowhere to go. And you know, we talk about, and it's even been a big theme this week, not just, in the sim world, but obviously in the real NASCAR Cup Series as well, with the lack of respect, I think is the best way to put it, but just how desperate these drivers are. They get in these late race situations, and everybody's just so aggressive.
It's a sloppy second half in Richmond. We'll take an opportunity to step aside. When we come back, single file restarts. Bobby Zelensky still in control as we close in on 30 laps to go from Richmond.
I need to try it first.
Here and now is when it matters most.
Heavy damage.
Not last month or last week or 48 laps ago when that bumper fell off.
He's done.
Here is where it must be left on the track. The anger, the hunger, the passion, and the drive to do whatever it takes to make it across that finish line first.
Blow those rear tires off us, bud.
Now is when the future is written in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. There's a thin line in the NASCAR Xfinity Series between winning and losing, between being the future and being past, between headlines and tailspins, between making history and being it. between the sweet taste of victory and the fumes of defeat. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, there's a thin line between being a name they know and being a name they'll never forget.
March is Women's History Month, and NASCAR is proud to recognize the accomplishments of past and present icons within the sport. From drivers like Sarah Christian, the first woman to compete in a NASCAR Cup Series race, to track presidents like Julie Giese, Lori Collier-Warren, Latasha Causey, and Jill Gregory, the women leading the venues in which we race across the country. All of these women have helped pave the way for future generations. We are proud to celebrate them and all women year-round.
People throw around legend a little too freely these days. Legends are legends for a reason. It's why most are never called it. A legend in this sport is about 75 years of going fast and all the unforgettable moments that build those years up. So after all this time, when we call something NASCAR Legends, you best know we mean it.
Back live at iRacing's virtual Richmond Raceway, where race director Tyler D. Hudson has gone single file. So we will line them up one by one, some 40 cars deep, as we get set for another late race restart. So this is going to significantly increase the gap car to car, and it's going to give Bobby Zalenski a good opportunity here to try to maintain his lead to one. Green flag is back in the air, 28 laps to go in Richmond.
Obviously, Zalenski a big advantage there, but that also allows everybody to not really have to do the battling that we've seen. Conti doesn't have to go side by side, and Mullis, they don't have to sort things out quite as quickly, so not near as many side-by-side battles, although Bose is way up the racetrack on the outskirts of the top 20. Leahy gets clear almost of Nick Ottinger here for 5th. But Bose trying to make something happen there in that second lane, but I imagine everybody going to go right down to the bottom where everybody's been so comfortable for most of the night.
It was a tough hit for Alan DeBose as he drops back, but I'll tell you what, I'll give credit to the proud people of Lima, Ohio. Blake, I have never gotten more tweets in my life for saying a city name wrong. Lima, not Lima. So credit to the proud folks over there, and Alan DeBose trying to carry the torch for him tonight as he's trying to hang on to a top 20 spot. You can see the single file hanging strong through the top 15. A little bit of cars poking out in the midfield. That was the 97 Matt Busa, I think, first car 2x2 we saw, scored in 13th spot, and the midfield's getting their side-by-side action, but is this what Bobby Zalenski wanted? He got the lead, but he is not pulling away to the advantage that we saw earlier in this race, as now it's a battle for 4th between Leahy and Ottinger.
Well, I think it may have hurt him a little bit because, again, everybody behind him was single file, and yet you can get such a jump here as the race leader that you're going to kind of be out on your own anyway. You kind of want everybody to be side-by-side and battling, but Ottinger going to be doing that no longer. He clears Keegan Leahy. All of these drivers really been hanging out in the top 5 pretty much the entire race, aside from Jimmy Mullis, who has driven his way up into the top 3. You still see Bose, one of the better side-by-side battles that we have going on. For 21st is Bose finally able to get back down to the bottom. And how about Graham Bolin, who spun completely around in front of the field earlier on that restart? Even he's trying to make a day out of this, almost in the top 20 as Bose gets shoved up the racetrack.
Bose again into the outside wall, and look at this group looking 3 wide to the inside, but the 33 at Tucker Minter thinks better of it for the moment. Right on the door, the 42 car gets into the outside wall a little bit. That's going to hold up Keister. It's Kerwin in the mix as well. Alt right there also is battle for 13th on back as they try to catch up to Casey Kerwin, who wins out in this battle. This is already, though, some 3.5 seconds off of the race lead. That's what happens when you put them single file. It spreads them all out. Leaders already in turn 4 as these cars race down the back and now to 3.
It does, and you're really starting to see, I think, who has a fast car regardless of the track position. Everybody kind of in the same boat, everybody dealing with a little bit of dirty air, but I think we're starting to see which cars are really, really strong. As you can see off of the hood of Colin Keister, they're still 3 wide further up the road around Michael Cozy Jr., Ryan Doucette, Donovan Strauss just got off of turn 4, and they are. We talked about him being single file. That hasn't kept the top 10 from trying to go side by side.
Yeah, these guys back here in the midfield got to it quick, and you can see the 15 car kind of leading this group right now. Doesn't want to be, though. It's Donovan Strauss, the instigator. It's the battle for 6th on back. Lowe, Strauss, Doucette, Cozy, all cars fighting for top 10 finishes in this race at Richmond. Inside now of 20 laps to go. Lap times low 20s per lap. So this thing's not going to be done, or it's going to be done pretty quick if it stays green. And the 15 car Garrett Lowe successfully defends the battle for 6 for the time being. We jump back and get Corey Vincent's perspective as he watches on from 10th.
You can see him shaking his head, a little bit of frustration, I'm sure, just racing this hard, going side by side with everybody here. Again, a good top 10 effort here for Corey Vincent, so don't want to push the issue quite too hard. But you also look up the road. These are really the 2 lanes we've seen where you can go somewhere, and they're clogged up with race cars. You're just kind of in a position at this point. We know how difficult it can be to pass once you get towards the front of the field here, and Vincent doesn't really have anywhere to go, although we will take a pause for yet another yellow.
And it is the 7 of Malik Ray this time. Scored in 34th position. He was 32nd at the time of the yellow. So it'll be interesting to see what the origins of this one are. It was, I mean, I know the track's only 0.75 miles long, but felt like the wreck came from 2 miles behind the race leader. So I have to see what caused it.
That we will. It was Malik Ray, and I think further on back you can see Gary, a little shot right there to Ray. Ray's drifting around the corner trying to make his way back by, and you know, this is about 32nd position. You can see it just gets him out of shape, and he's not quite able to collect it back up.
Yeah, once he just got a little bit out of shape, he was never able to get back on it, and Malik Ray talking as well over the chat. He's apologizing for not expecting to be run over from behind. So again, the passive-aggressive comments from the drivers that we've heard both on the radio and also in the InSim chat today continue as the short track tempers front and foremost in this first short track stop of this 2023 calendar. Don't suspect we're going to see a lot of these similar things, Blake, when we go road course racing in a couple of weeks at Monza, but Richmond is not the only short track on the calendar. Get a couple of more of these later on this season. Of course, you know, Dover towards the end of the year, New Hampshire on the bigger end, of course, but of the aggressive elbows up tracks, this might be the single most of all of those, as you've got Tyler Gary now.
Tyler Gary riding along with you there. What happened from your perspective?
I just, Malik almost spun off for 2. I had a massive run on him, was going way faster. He chopped down. Didn't think, he said he didn't think I was going to hit him, but I mean, I got places to go. I mean, he's destroyed, old tires. I mean, I don't know what he wants from me.
All right, Tyler, we'll let you get back after it. Thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I know the Tony Kadon group rating the live stream and the chat over on Twitch, and it's not all bad news for Tyler Gary, guys. He's had a really good season. Blake enters tonight tied for 4th in the standings. He's got 2 top 10s already. Of course, that group looking for some positives, so maybe not tonight, but it has been a pretty good year so far for Tyler Gary, James.
Worth watching Michael Conti here on this upcoming restart. Game plan all along here, especially with the way the cautions panned out, was to stay out once he pitted almost 60 laps to go. But biggest thing between driver and crew, they said, we're going to hold you until about 15 laps to go and have you save tires, and then when we get to 15, we're going to turn you loose. So now we've cleared 15 laps to go. Conti has the green light to press 100%, which we likely hasn't done for a good chunk of this race. So I think we'll get to see the full force of what Michael Conti is capable of, and whether or not he's able to race down Zelensky under these final few laps to potentially go to victory lane.
Did you see that smile there, Blake? If I'm Bobby, I don't like seeing the guy behind me with a big smile like that when his crew gives him the green light.
Well, again, Michael Conti, that's one of the benefits of being an early winner. You don't have to worry so much. Of course, you want to get points, and of course, every win will net him some playoff points that'll eventually help him should he qualify for the playoffs. But, you know, that's one thing with Conti. We know he's trying to have fun this year. He's already locked into the playoffs, so he can kind of let loose a little bit in this late race situation, knowing that he has a win in his back pocket.
Winner from a couple of weeks ago at the Milwaukee Mile, Michael Conti for Junior Motorsports, one of 3 different winners we've seen this year. Also seen Tucker Minter for Team Dillon Esports and Stephen Wilson for Stewart Haas Esports go to victory lane. Second consecutive restart at which we will go single file rules. No passing to the inside, so drivers going to go up against the wall to play some defense, and it's an early jump for Bobby Zelensky. Green flag in the air, just 10 laps to go.
We'll see what turning them loose really means here as they get down into 1 and 2. We know how quick that number 18 has been in short run pace all night long. As we'll take you side by side, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen the battle for the race lead. Zach Novak and Casey Kerwin, though, just on the outskirts of the top 10 on the right-hand side.
And you can see the battle for the lead and the battle for 12th. Ken Conti make up the gap. He was able to successfully defend P2. No challenge from Mullis, no challenge from Ottinger yet. But can he close the gap that sits at 0.3 of a second between he and the car who has led more laps than anybody else tonight? Zelensky, who has led now 86. 87 and counting, continues to charge in that battle for 12th position. You see the likes of the 40 of Dylan Alt side by side with the 95 of Casey Kerwin. Everybody trying to get a little bit extra in the dying laps.
Every point matters, especially for those guys who have not yet won a race, trying to stave off relegation, to stay inside the top 20, trying to find a way that if they do win a race, they're in position to try and qualify for a position in the playoffs and the championship. So you can rest assured these guys, we've seen them racing hard all night, even if it's for 32nd. That's not going to change here in the last 7 laps.
7 and now 6 laps to go. A quick peek to the inside off to 1 and 2 as it's Nick Ottinger underneath the 46 of Mullis in a battle for 3rd. Mullis doing a pretty good job of using the outside to defend. The bottom has, I think, won out more times than not tonight, so the 46 might have his hands full here, but they're on 65 lap old tires. They've never been on older tires, and you see if this holds, Zelensky would jump to the top of the playoff standings and join those other race winners, but he's still got 5 more laps till he can do it.
Well, and note right there on the right-hand side, Stephen Wilson's a winner. He's not on that list right now. That's because aside from his win last week, he has not had the finishes that would put him inside the top 20 in points. So he's outside the top 20 in points, would not be eligible for a playoff spot despite his win last week.
Good news for him is he's got a long way to go. 14 rounds in the regular season, so 10 more after tonight, but room for improvement for Stephen Wilson. Needing a good points night. Where does he find himself in the field here tonight? 20th. Not great. Not also enough, though, I think, to make up for that top 20 in the points as they run now. Counting them down, going to be 2 laps to go. The gap for Zelensky only growing.
Yeah, it has just been a one-horse race here tonight at Richmond. Bobby got to the front, but not only did he have qualifying speed, he has just the outright fastest car here. He only needs a couple more circuits to get it done. As Boosa on the bottom, Corey Vincent right now. Again, this is for the 9th position. First side-by-side battle we have on this racetrack, but Evan, tonight, it has been all about Bobby Z as he'll come around and take the white flag.
Tucker Minter back there trying to make it 3 wide, but you're right, white flag in the air for Bobby Zelensky. Every season, a perennial playoff driver and seemingly a perennial contender year in and year out in the championship 4. And Bobby takes a big step in that direction again here tonight at Richmond. Final time off 4. Bobby Zelensky wins at Richmond Raceway.
He had enough of a lead to give us a nod right there. He was confident, and, you know, with the race car that he was driving tonight, I don't blame him. He was just a man that was not going to be beat tonight. An impressive drive, and for somebody that we keep talking about year after year as a championship favorite, he once again solidifies it.
Yeah, he's earned that bit of confidence and cockiness across the line. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Blake, he picked up his 12th career pole position earlier tonight. Now he picks up his 12th career eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series win. That ties him with former champ Keegan Leahy for 5th on the all-time wins list. And as he does his burnout, driving by another Interstate Batteries car there as well, and Daniel Falkenham. So a lot of good representation tonight for that Interstate Batteries green, as it is the 18 Toyota in victory lane. Let's take a look at the Coca-Cola move of the race, Blake. They moved to the single file restarts, but to be honest, it didn't matter. Even when they were 2x2, through all of those stops and starts, Zelensky was so good off the line, he never really gave Conti and the others a chance.
No, we didn't. And even the longest run that we had, you know, you could argue, well, he only had short run speed, but even in the longest run that we had of the night, he got clear of roughly 3 seconds of everybody else. They never ran him down. It was never in doubt for Bobby Zelensky. Tonight, he lost the lead on pit road just one time, and yet he was still able to drive through some very fast cars, and Michael Conti and Nick Ottinger, Jimmy Mullis as well, and continue to get the job done. So just all around, a very complete night for Bobby Zelensky.
Bobby Zelensky continues to impress, and he is a winner once again, this time in 2023. Blake, your trackside with tonight's race winner.
A lot of confidence coming into tonight for Bobby Zelensky, and you could see exactly why. A winner for the 12th time in your eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series career. We know you've been so strong on road courses, on tracks that have heavy braking. You think that's kind of was kind of a preview of your success tonight?
I mean, I guess. Obviously, like, the car was a rocket, so I got to thank everybody at my team for all that hard work. I put in a lot of work this week, so I had pretty high expectations. I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but this felt like Phoenix speed, and I'm glad we were able to seal the deal today. Yeah, anytime we're braking a lot, I feel like I have an advantage, and yeah, so I'm just finally one of these goes through. But quickly, I want to apologize to Tyler Gary again. When he was on old tires, I was on new tires. I just misjudged really badly. Apology doesn't mean, I guess, too much because I ended up winning the race from it. But yeah, just wanted to say that again.
Well, I know you don't have to worry necessarily when we go there in 2 weeks' time, but for the first time, the series visits Monza in 2 weeks' time. So kind of your initial thoughts on kind of jumping overseas for the first time in series history.
Yeah, any road course I like, and I'm sure this Interstate Batteries Toyota is going to be awesome. So I'm going to work hard for it, and now I don't have any pressure. I guess I'll still have pressure. I want to win a road course. You know, I haven't won one in a few seasons because of Mitchell DeYoung being that just a little ahead of me. But the competition will be tough. There's like new guys coming in that are super good at road. But I'm you know, it's not like the hardest road course because we're kind of cutting out the chicanes. But you know why I'm going to try to win that. I don't know if I will, but obviously that's the goal.
Certainly so. We'll see if he can make it back-to-back wins. Bobby Zelensky, your winner tonight at Richmond Raceway. He gets it done on a short track, and we'll see if a road course is up next. He's ready to fight, that's for sure, is Bobby Zelensky. And somebody else who we talked to a couple of weeks ago in Victory Lane brings it home in second tonight. Well, you said you were going to try to make it great, and I'd say a couple races in of win, another chance at the podium. I'd say it is going great in your swan song here in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, no complaints, Blake. Really good run tonight for the number 8 car, WR1 Chevrolet. Super prep throughout the last 2 weeks, so my big thanks to everybody who made this car what it was. Didn't quite have enough for Bobby and those guys, but I mean, we were pretty close in pace. I think whoever got out front there at the end was going to sail away if they didn't make a mistake. So really good race. Love Richmond. I've loved racing here over the last 12 seasons, and to have a win last year after so many years of trying and then a second this year, pretty happy overall. Can't complain.
Somebody that's definitely visited Richmond a lot recently, but I'm hearing in my ear. We got to ask you about all the Coca-Cola products. You're definitely definitely showing up, representing the brand there well with everything you got behind you. Kind of a new setup.
Well, we were challenged, I think, a week or two ago to have more Coke stuff in the camera shot. So recently, I moved the camera around so I could get more of this back corner here, and it's kind of jury rigged right now on the floor, so we're going to fix that up, maybe get a table or something for it. But I've always collected Coke products since I was a kid, so it's kind of cool that we're racing in the Coca-Cola series now. So a lot of this stuff is just things that I've accumulated over the years, various places I've gone. So I'm happy that Coke supports us, happy to put this stuff in the shot of the camera here. I've got my mom down here in front of it, which is super cool. So happy to have that with us. Happy to have Junior Motorsports, everybody who supports the series, and myself. And Blake, Monza, 2 weeks. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm gonna take the second place and run with it.
Only thing I can suggest, make sure we can see that championship trophy a little bit better next time out. But Michael Conti brings it home in second, and I think you can tell by the smile, doesn't have so much to worry about with that win. He's going to go to Monza and see if he can get the job done. And this driver right here, Jimmy Mullis, I should have listened to my friends on social media who told me to pick you because, boy, you were fast tonight.
Yeah, it feels good to finally be back in this booth, Blake. It's good to talk to you. 2 interviews tonight. That's a good start for as we head into this summer stretch. Really, just proud of our team and proud of the effort. We've had speed all year, and I've been way better this year than I was last year. Last year, I took a huge step back in terms of preparation and just being on here in general. Had a lot of life things change up, but this year I've been putting a lot of work in. Feel like the speed's been back to where it should be, and I just haven't had the results to show it. So it's really nice to come out here, run like I feel like we should have. I feel like we had a car that could have fought for the win with Bobby there, but they were pretty lights out all night. So hats off to those guys, and like I said, just thankful to finally close one out.
How special is it for you to come to a racetrack that I know Richmond Raceway Esports was the origin of what is now Rise Esports? Does it still hold a special place for you to come here to that, old home, I guess we could call it, and have a run like this?
Oh, absolutely. It feels good because I've had so many great cars at this racetrack when we've come here in this series, and we've led hundreds of laps and just getting taken out there at the end. So to finally just close out a race up at the front, that feels good. And to have the old Chaos Crew colors on the car this week was really awesome for me. It was a little bit of a tearjerker for me when I first saw the scheme, to be honest. I don't know, this team, Rise Esports, and before we were Richmond Raceway Esports, and the Chaos Crew, obviously, as I mentioned, and we've just been through a lot. So this place is obviously really special to me and our team, and to get a result like this it's huge for us.
A big result for Jimmy Mullis, and his teammate brings it home in 13th. So a good night for Rise Esports, and we will see Jimmy back on track in 2 weeks' time when we get to Monza, Evan.
Yeah, big thanks to those guys as always for chatting. Let's take a look at our Coca-Cola full race results tonight from Richmond. And Zelensky, Conti, Mullis, your top 3. Big nights for the likes of Strauss, who gains 21 spots. He's in the top 10. Again, Nick Ottinger led a lot of laps tonight as well. And Michael Cozy Jr., P9, the highest finishing rookie.
Another solid run from Michael Cozy Jr. You can see a couple of rookies right there. How about Jordy Lopez Jr., 15th after being involved in some late incidents. Graham Bolin rebounds for 16th after being spun on that restart. So a solid effort for those guys, I think, to get back into the top 20 as well.
A lot of people had to fight back from some adversity. Back in the 20s, you had some cars that started good in this race. Dylan Duvall started up front. He doesn't get the result that he quite wanted, so he'll look to pick up from that. You got Parker White leading out this group. Vicente Salas down in the 30th spot as well.
Yeah, tough for Vicente following up his twin 40 win at Hickory Motor Speedway in a late model stock this past weekend. And you see further down the running order, tough to see Ryan Luza in 40th and won multiple races in this series at this racetrack. Tough way for him to go out.
And in 2 weeks' time, we go international and head to iRacing's virtual Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. It is going to be a great time as we go road course racing in northern Italy. The first time that the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, Blake, heads outside North America.
It is going to be an incredible time, and I have no idea what to expect, Evan. We'll find out when we get there in 2 weeks.
You already heard some of the road course guys that are good here with the likes of Sonoma, Watkins Glens, and all the other ones that we've seen over the course of the years. They're excited for it. It is a new setting. It is a new challenge. At the end of the day, it's a road course race in stock cars, and it is going to be a good time. So for the final time here tonight from Richmond Raceway, I want to say thanks to everybody behind the scenes who makes these broadcasts possible. For the entire team at iRacing, Coca-Cola, NASCAR, everybody downstairs for your Countdown to Green team, and of course your broadcast team tonight. For James Pike on the pit road, for Blake McCandless, I'm Evan Pasoko. I want to say thank you for tuning in. And congratulations to Bobby Zelensky, who finds himself back in victory lane. He is the only driver to have a race win in each of the last 7 eNASCAR seasons. As we say, buonanotte from Richmond, and we will say hi to you in 2 weeks' time from Italy. We're going road course racing at Monza. That one on Tuesday, April the 11th, from virtual Monza International. Of course, road course racing. You're not going to want to miss that one. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found exclusively here on the iRacing Esports Network. Till next time, good night from Richmond.